Well, hello. Welcome once again to another episode of Parks and Conversation. And my name is Jason, and I'm joined by my friend Jeremy all the way across town. Say hello, Jeremy.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
It's going really, really well. There's a lot happening. And so, listener, if you hear some dog barking happening, that's because we have a septic system, and there are guys working right outside my office examining our septic system inspection. It's something we do a couple times a year to make sure that all of our waste is properly handled, right? And so they're here now. And it's fitting that this is happening today because we are looking at episode 3 of season 3, the time capsule. And what is a septic system except a different kind of time capsule, right?
I don't know. I've never thought of it that way. But now that you put it that way, I don't want to.
Yeah. And I'm watching this gentleman with some kind of weird pole. It's gross what's happening right now in my backyard. One time, the guy came out to do the inspection. He was telling us all the different tanks that are going on. He's like, if you want to, you can drink right out of this tank. Like, I don't want to, ever. So
it's good to know.
It's good to have options, if I want, a little chunkier water, I guess.
It sounds like your dogs also want to help.
Well, it's not so much that they want to help as much as they want to say hi. They really just want to say hi, but they're also out there dealing with waste that I don't want to deal with. So I don't want my dogs.
You've already dealt with it.
Yes, I've done my part. Now it's up to them.
Yeah.
So how are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited for Time Capsule.
Yes. Fantastic episode.
Yeah.
So these dogs are crazy. Oh my word.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. So
Mark Maron has his cats, so
right.
You got your dogs. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. I really try to not let them be a problem or a cast member on this podcast, but today's the day. So let me give a synopsis of this episode. The Parks Department is putting together a time capsule that will be unburied in 50 years from this moment. And so they're trying to create something that will perfectly encapsulate life in Pawnee in this moment. And so that's, their whole goal. But there is a dude who wants to get his own items into the time capsule. And this leads to conflict and also reveals how much people care in Pawnee. How's that for a synopsis?
That's a really good synopsis.
Yeah, I thought so. So let's just jump right into it. Right off the bat, the Parks team, the cold open, they are talking about the time capsule items, and it starts with Jerry talking about putting his mom's diaries in the time capsule, and she wrote down everything for years. It's a great little personal history, and then it's Tom, right, who grabs it and starts reading and talks about how
April does.
Yeah. And she reads this an entry about Jerry being in the class play. They were playing Peter Pan, and he made a great Tinkerbell. And it's like, you played a girl in this play, and he's like, it was an all boys school. So right away, like, Jerry has this really great idea, and they pull it apart real quick because they're like, you are ridiculous. So
Jerry's the Rodney Dangerfield of the cast.
He can get no respect at all. So it just falls apart real quick. And then Andy's there again. Andy's not part of the Parks Department, but he's around. And he says we should put Eduardo in there, so he suffocates and dies. It's just the darkest of any time Andy's ever been. Like, this is dark Andy, which is a little terrifying.
But he says it with a smile and a chuckle.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, are you a psychopath or are you joking? Like, what's happening, Andy? Either way, I'm alarmed. And then we find out that Tom and Lucy broke up because Tom wants to put a portrait of Lucy with stinky lines coming off her because she stinks. Because she broke. And we'll find out why they broke up in a little bit in this very episode. And then Ron's there to offer up a menu from JJ's Diner. which, as we've said, it is the place to be in
Hmm.
Pawnee. It is where the movers and shakers go. And Ron wants the people to, in 50 years, to know about his favorite menu item, the 4-horse meals of the eggpocalypse.
I want to eat that.
I do too. That sounds like a really great idea. I love breakfast food, and I don't know. I know they're playing on 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I just really hope there is no actual horse in the meals.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit alarming as well. But I don't think Ron would mind. I'm sure all animals are meat except for fish.
Yeah, I
I don't know.
guess.
But at the same time, maybe not. Ron's pretty loyal to, like, I mean, horses do work, so you probably wouldn't want to eat your work buddy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Don't eat your work associates. Um, and then Leslie has a book of the history of Pawnee that she wrote down from memory. And it lists all of the town's slogans, which is one of the great pictures of Pawnee's evolution over time.
Yeah. You learn
And
so much about the town itself just from all
yeah,
the names. It's great.
and yeah, how they view themselves. So I'm gonna read them. I've got them pulled up. Do you mind if I just read these?
I don't mind. Please
All
do.
right. Pawnee, the Paris of America,
Strong start.
the Akron of Southwest Indiana.
We went downhill.
Welcome, German soldiers. And and after the Nazis took France, our mayor kind of panicked. Pawnee, the factory fire capital of America.
Hmm.
Welcome, Vietnamese soldiers.
No faith in our military.
No. Pawnee, engage with Zorp. And for a brief time in the 70s, our town was taken over by a cult. Pawnee, Zorp is dead. Long live Zorp. This one is my favorite.
Yeah.
Pawnee, it's safe to be here now. Pawnee, birthplace of Julia Roberts, which was a lie, and she sued, so we had to change it to Pawnee, home of the world famous Julia Roberts lawsuit. Welcome, Taliban soldiers. And our current slogan, Pawnee, first in friendship, fourth in obesity, which
May
is
it
pretty
never
great.
change.
Yes, may you rule forever, Pawnee, in the land of great town slogans.
Oh man, the whole Zorp setup in the middle was absolutely my favorite.
Yeah, there's a bunch of setup in this episode for this season that is really great. So one of those things is Zorp. This is the first time we're referenced to Zorp. That'll come up in a few episodes where we'll see the actual playing out of Zorp. What that means. We also, this is the first introduction of the idea of April's friend Oren.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I wrote that down too.
Yes, and then also this is the first time we meet the lady from the Society for Family Stability Association.
Yes.
I wrote her name down. Where'd it go?
That was later in.
Yeah, but
Melissa Laneman.
Melissa Lehman. No, it's I wrote it down. I had to. Marsha Langman. That's it. Marsha Langman. You were really close.
I can't read my own handwriting.
Yeah. So that's why I type stuff. So so this is all the stuff that the Parks Department is thinking about putting into the time capsule, and it's going to be great. And then so she reads the last thing and it goes right to the credits. And I've been watching TV with subtitles on lately. I don't know why. I just have. And the subtitles, when the credits come up for Parks and Recreation, just says triumphant music.
Triumphant. I was going with jaunty. I like
jaunty would also work. But
triumphant music. Good.
Which, reading all of the different things that were said about Pawnee in the slogans, and then right away going to triumphant music, just a real gear shift that I was not expecting.
They're first in friendship, so they won. It's a triumphant time to celebrate.
Yeah, they're friends with the Nazis. They're friends with the Vietnamese. They're friends with the Taliban. They're friends. They're friendly.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, Jason.
Friends with Zorp.
Yeah.
The reasonableists. Yeah.
Pawnee, they're not dumb.
No, they're very quick to make friends. They should have been the Switzerland of Indiana.
Oh, that's good.
Not the Paris of, anyway. Anyway, so after the credits, Leslie's sitting down in her office being interviewed by Shauna Malwae-Tweep, and she's giving her all of the headlines that she's hoping that Shauna will use. And she's like, you can quote me on this. And I love Shauna's response. Like, I'm going to quote you on all of this. It's a newspaper article. So Shauna leaves, and then April comes to like welcome a person into Leslie's office, and she's just like, this guy's here, and walks away. And it's Kelly Larson, played by I always forget his name. It's
Will Forte.
Will Forte, yes.
Kelly
Larson.
Do you think Fred Armisen for some reason?
No, I always think Bill Hader.
Oh yeah, he's funny too.
They're all funny. And so Will Forte comes in, he's Kelly Larson, and Leslie's response is like, oh, you're the person who's been writing to me about putting Twilight books in the capsule. I thought you would be younger and a girl, to which Kelly responds, nope, I'm older and a boy, which is this episode's title. I'm older and a boy. And so he's trying to convince Leslie to put the Twilight books into the time capsule, and Leslie is very against it here at this moment. And so that conversation is starting. Cuts away to the shoe shine stand.
Hold on, wait.
What?
Wait, I'm just curious, like, because he brings up the Twilight books. Which was your favorite Twilight book?
I have read none of them, and I have seen none of the movies.
Wow.
So I cannot speak to Twilight.
I've seen some of the movie, but mostly just because of what they showed at the end of this episode.
I guess that's all I've seen too.
You're a reader, so I just assumed,
No,
I know how much you love the Northwest.
I do. Yes.
Forks.
I do like forks.
Yeah, and Volvos, because I think he drove a Volvo in it. So I know those are all of your things.
I have never driven a Volvo in my life.
It's a Volvo. Yeah, I guess I just assumed incorrectly.
Yeah, well, I hope you learned your lesson. I have no interest in teen romance vampire novels.
Okay.
Or movies. No
Duly
interest
noted.
whatsoever.
I will update I'll update your Christmas list.
Thank you. Finally. I think the only vampire movie that I've actually watched is Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
And I did not finish that.
Yeah.
It was too much.
I thought like they were going to be like on Letterman or something. It was way different.
That's wild. Yeah, that would have been a very different movie. It's like, so how old are you?
What about
the other vampire movie I've watched is What We Do in the Shadows, which is a comedy.
That
which
is
very funny. And I've not seen the show, but the movie is very funny.
Once Bitten with Jim Carrey from
Didn't see it.
92 or something. Okay.
I remember it. I remember seeing ads for it, and I just have never seen it.
What about Blade? Because Blade was a comic character, right?
Yeah, I have never seen Blade.
Okay.
I've read Blade comics.
I'm trying
never Blade.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. See,
all right.
Vampires, here's the deal. I don't like blood, like at all.
Yeah.
If I could go without blood, I would, but I need it. And I want to keep it all inside of me. And I wish everybody else would do the same.
Some people are just super inconsiderate.
I know. And so the idea of watching or enjoying media that is just like, hey, these people consume blood, hard pass.
Yeah. They're phlebotomists in their own way. Self-taught. Yeah.
That's a fun word to say. Phlebotomist. What did you study? Phlebotomy. It sounds like if you drop a bag of blood, that's what sound it makes. Phlebotom.
That's where they got it. That's actually Greek for sack sound, I think. Falling.
Yes.
Falling sack of liquid.
It's Greek for Ziploc bag splatting on the ground.
Whoa, those Greeks were way ahead of their time.
They were. A lot of people don't realize that.
Why are people keeping their blood in Ziploc bags?
Just convenience, probably.
Why are we talking about blood so much?
Because this whole show is about blood.
Okay. Get to the root of things.
Yeah, that's it. So, are we ready to continue with the rest of this?
Let me start from the beginning. It's Christmas Eve, 1973.
Yeah, Kelly goes way into it.
Oh, you're going to start at the very beginning. Okay.
He goes to the beginning of the birth of Stephanie Meyer, even knowing her maiden name.
Yeah. And where she
Uh,
lived.
yeah.
It's great.
But so Andy, it cuts to the shoe shine stand, and Andy is shining Chris's shoes and telling him about his relationship with April and, you know, the tension that he's feeling and how he like feels terrible and he wants her back. And then Anne shows up and is immediately just like, "What are you doing with Andy?" And Chris leaves, doesn't pay Andy, and is like, "Don't mess up this relationship with him. I really like him." But Chris or Andy also has this problem where he's like, I don't know, like I can't just like ignore him because he's my boss. To which Anne says, "He's not your boss." And we find out that Andy still doesn't know who his boss is.
Right? How is
So
he getting paid? Like he's just getting paid from the shoe sign? Like, do you think he makes an hourly wage as well? Like
no,
minimum wage?
I think he is working the gig economy, and he
Mm.
just like whatever he takes in from the shoe shine stand, he just keeps it. He is a vendor in the city hall. Like he just keeps it, and yeah, I don't even know if they could figure out a way to fire him, if they would know how to do it. Like
I hope he's
he
paying
doesn't work here.
taxes on it, you know?
Oh, I highly doubt that. Like,
Hmm.
what would he pay taxes for? Like, why would Andy, knowing anything we know about Andy, why would Andy know how to pay taxes?
I don't know. He knew what a religious oligarchy was. Maybe he was versed in tax preparation. He did laugh at that one guy's tax joke. So software.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he only knew about religious oligarchy because Ron told him. As they were grilling meat, they were going over the different kinds of government structures,
Yeah.
and Ron was teaching him here. So he didn't know it before they grilled inside.
I don't
So,
know. I don't know. I feel like he did know about it.
all right. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. Going back to Kelly, is explaining all of Twilight to Leslie is what I wrote down. And Leslie's response is the time capsule can't just be a barrel of stuff people like. Like that is not what the time capsule is about. And I have thought about burying time capsules in the past. Well, in the in previous years, I have thought about burying time capsules for future re-digging. And it was always just stuff that I liked that I would put in there. So a time capsule in my brain, like Leslie's saying, like this is not just the that people like. It's like, no, that's exactly what a time capsule is. Like
Right.
I would put a GI Joe in there, maybe a Donatello Ninja Turtle because he was the worst. You know, those
What?
kinds of things. Yeah, I said it. Donatello's
Wow.
the worst.
Wow, dude. Oh man.
Yeah.
You had the bow staff.
Yeah. Wow.
Like,
A
that's
stick.
he used really well. The other guy had like forks, basically.
The other guy, you mean Raphael?
Yeah.
The other guy. What? The other guy.
I don't see turtles. I see beings. So, you know, what did you ever go back and dig any of these up?
No,
Do you know
because
where
I
they are?
started putting together like the
Like, wait a
idea
minute,
of
those are
the
my
time capsule.
toys.
Yeah, I was like, I want these now. I'm not gonna want these in 50 years. I want them now.
I see how
So,
adults are. I probably won't like these later.
yeah, exactly. My parents don't play with any toys. So I would always think about it and then I would just stop because it's like, no, I want this. Or like you put in like, oh, I want to put in this comic book in this time capsule. It will be ruined because you're gonna bury it underground. And you know, as a kid, like looking at the time capsule that they have here in Pawnee, it's like the tools that you would use in a brewery. Like it's that kind of tank,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I don't know any kid who has access to those. And so anything we buried in the backyard, that's over. It's
You should
gone.
just put it in a big Ziploc bag. It was
Well,
good enough. It was good enough for the Greeks.
well, that's where I keep all my blood.
Oh yeah, out of.
Well, I mean, what am I going to do?
That's a
Bury
quite
my blood in my time capsule?
No, that would ruin
Not a bad
everything.
idea.
Well, then you could clone yourself.
That is a dangerous thing, my friend.
Okay,
Have you not seen Multiplicity?
I have not. No, maybe. Was that with Julia Roberts?
No. But it is the prequel to Birdman. So I mean, you got to watch out.
Yeah, that's the one
Okay.
with Carrie Russell, right?
I have no idea other
Well,
than
that's
Michael Keaton.
Felicity. Sorry.
All right. So Kelly, because Leslie says no, Kelly immediately handcuffs himself to a pipe in her office, which design problem. Why are there exposed pipes in your office, Leslie?
It's an old building.
I guess, but
The
it's still,
radiator.
yeah, it's probably the radiator, but it's like, you guys, come on. You're going to have people doing this more often if you keep these exposed pipes. And then this is where we are introduced to Orrin. And Leslie tells April that she is worried about her friend Orrin, and she thinks April says he's a genius. And so they're trying to figure out how to solve this whole Kelly problem. They leave, and Tom is sitting there sad in his office by himself. And Kelly says, I see you're sad. It's a girl, isn't it? And he urges him to find consolation in the pages of Twilight. And Tom is resistant, but Donna comes in and tells him those books are good. And then we learn a little bit about Donna. She likes any of these kinds of stories with vampires, beasties, werewolves, time traveling romances. She loves all of them, and so that is important.
I love how Kelly is like, sorry, it's important to what?
Well, just later on, we're gonna have a little book club, and Donna's very into it. So.
Yeah, I just like how Kelly is basically, evangelizing to Tom, like that this is his really, like, you got to read this book. It's going to change your life. And Tom's like, no, and then gets into it. It's great.
Yeah, and so he does take it, and he reads it, and we find out that Ron and Leslie are talking, and Ron's like, I'll get rid of him, and he gets a saw out, and he's gonna go cut him off with the saw, and then they bring in security because he's trespassing, and he's like, I love Kelly here. He's just like, I'm not afraid of you. And then as soon as the old security guard leans over, he freaks out.
Did he call him a muscle-bound stormtrooper? I'm not afraid you're a muscle-bound stormtrooper. He's like this old security guard.
And then he does really freak out. And so Leslie's just like, you know what? Let him stay here. He's not going to, as soon as he gets hungry, he's going to want to leave. And then he's like, he opens up his bag. He's got a thermos. He's got a blanket and pillows. Like, he's ready to stay. And so he does. Next day, Tom comes in and he read all of Twilight in one night. And then Kelly gives him the next one. And Tom is just delighted.
There's a second?
Yeah. And a third and a fourth.
Right.
And so we are now, Tom is down the path of Twilight. Cuts to shoe shine stand, and Andy is trying to figure out how to shine all of these shoes that Chris brought. You know, Chris is trying to help Andy out.
Yeah.
And so he's got this one pair of shoes that is the toe shoes for runners. And Andy's response is, I couldn't figure out how to shine these. I think they're supposed to be gloves. And Chris's response is, that, you know, they're running shoes. The human foot is the ultimate technology. And Andy is just amazed by Chrisness. And he's like, that is the coolest sentence I have ever heard talked. So the contrast between Andy and Chris, I just love them so much. Like,
yeah.
But he's like stuck in the middle between Ron and Chris in the extremes, and he will go either way, whichever way the wind blows. He's like, I'm with Ron, I'm really Ronnie. I'm with Chris, I'm really Chrissy. You know, like he's he's able to mold to the environment so well. Yeah, and so then it cuts to Andy wearing Chris's shoes and walking around like a monkey. So Chris is like, I'm going to help him get April back, and they cut to the office, and Chris is like, you have everything inside of you to win April back, so let's start with your positive qualities. And first thing is Andy says is, I'm nice, and write it on the whiteboard. I'm in a band, and they write it on the whiteboard, and he says, that's it. So a lot of work ahead of them to win April back. So cuts back to the office where Dawn Donna, Tom, and Kelly are sitting right next to Leslie's desk talking about Twilight, trying to understand the motivations of the characters. And as they're talking about all these different things like Volturi and all this stuff, it's like, I have no idea what they're talking about right now. I could see why Leslie would be so annoyed. And so, so Leslie leaves to the office to go work in the conference room because they're too involved in their book club, to which I have to wonder, why is Leslie not saying, you two need to go do your jobs,
Right.
and not just talking to Kelly here about the crazy book for girls? Like, what are you doing? And so then it cuts to the next day, Friday. Leslie comes in and Kelly has moved to another pipe sometime in the night. And earlier he lied to say he hid the key very far away, and obviously that was false. So he moved to another pipe to be more comfortable. And Leslie discovers Kelly's whole motivation. He wanted to impress his daughter because the book had his daughter's name in the cover, like this is property of, and he wanted to impress her. And so Leslie is kind of won over by his passion and his desire to, be the hero for his kid. I get it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ever want to do that, but I get it. And
you'll read Twilight at some point for your kids.
Oh, I will not. Not at all. 0%. There are so many books that my kids are reading, like for school, that like I used to have to read like what we would call literature. And they're reading just weird stories and like I don't understand what's happening in education anymore. But if they ever came to me and said, "Dad, will you read us Twilight?" First of all, I would be surprised because at the time of recording, my kids are 14 and 12, so they can read on their own. But
I just imagine now you've got the fire going, you've got your cardigan and your pipe, and they've sat.
I don't smoke a pipe.
I'm imagining this is my, and then they're, sitting crisscross applesauce at the floor, just waiting for you to read them Twilight.
Yeah. I couldn't even begin to pretend to read right now. I don't even know. Like Edward, Jacob, Bella, I'm out. I only know that because the internet says, I'm team Edward, I'm team Jacob, I'm team not reading this. So
team don't care.
Yeah, team like, move on. There's so many other better books, I'm sure. So Leslie comes back to Ron and Ben and says, we should probably put this in the time capsule, to which Ron responds, we don't negotiate with weirdos. And Ben is like, if you give into this, then you will have people handcuffing themselves to the pipes in your office anytime they want to do something for them. And Leslie's hearing them and processing what they say. And her response is, then we shall bring the pipe to them, which means a town forum.
Crackpot convention.
Yes. Oh, man, I love the town forum, and this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And at this town forum, Leslie sets the ground rules. Like, this is a government project, so we're not going to promote any corporations or religious items. And so she's open to suggestions from people for what to put into time capsule. For a suggestion, we should put the Bible in. So as a Christian, as a pastor, it's one of those things. It's like, I love your zeal for the word of God, but did you not just hear what this person said?
Yes.
They're not going to do that. So it's going off to a great start already. Cuts to the courtyard by the offices in the Parks Department, and Andy and Eduardo meet and start talking, and Andy apologizes to Eduardo. He was being really mean to him. And he's also carrying a box of Mouse Rat CDs. So he gives one to Eduardo, and, because Eduardo is listening to the Smiths, which is super depressing music. And Eduardo says, I'm more into Dave Matthews. And so instantly, Andy and Eduardo, they bond over Dave Matthews. And
he brings people together,
Dave Matthews does bring people together. And like, I like Dave Matthews Band. You like Dave Matthews Band.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been to a Dave Matthews concert because I'm trying to avoid a contact high. But I would imagine that there's a wide range of people all
Yes.
the way from like your hippies to your frat bros, like all coming together at a Dave Matthews Band concert to just chill out and enjoy some great music.
I've seen people with kids, like really like infants, at the concert, and yeah, really like old people, like in almost walkers.
Wow.
He's got the range, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I would imagine, and you've been to the Gorge, right?
Yeah,
For
oh,
the
yeah. That's where.
And so it's like a 3-day festival of Dave Matthews Band, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when they do that, is it just concerts in the evening, or do they have concerts all day?
No, just well, it depends. If it's a festival, then yeah, they have it all day, and there's usually 2 to 3 stages. But when it's just like Dave Matthews, it'll be for 3 days of Dave. It'll just be in the evening. Yeah, but he plays different sets and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of fun.
And they have an opener, right?
Yes, it's usually the same opener. Yeah, sometimes
For
2.
all 3 nights?
Yeah, sometimes they'll have 2
Oh, my
openers.
word.
Yeah.
The opener is often the least desired part of the concert.
It is. I've always felt, I've been to many concerts in my life, and I've always felt bad for the openers. But I mean, here's the thing: a lot of the music that people love to listen to all started as openers somewhere. So,
Right.
or a backup dancer. So,
Right. Here's the thing: like Dave Matthews, they block out Labor Day weekend, right?
Mhm,
Usually,
mhm. Yeah.
and so it's 3 days. And openers, in my experience, they're not they don't have a wide range of songs.
Oh
So
no.
are they playing the same set all 3
Sometimes,
nights, or are they
yeah.
playing different sets every night?
No, sometimes they usually, like, depending upon how how long the band's been around, they'll play the same set. But a lot of times too, in those, they pick certain bands that they all get along well with. And so if you have 2 openers, sometimes they'll get together and they'll play different covers. Like, they'll kind of merge the bands a little bit, kind of like we'll see later this is much later in our show. But yeah, they try to mix it up. Every great once in a while, Dave might come out and play with them or something like that, which is always fun, or one of the other band members. So I think that's why they do that. So then people don't get bored, like, oh, what's going to happen? But a lot of times people don't really show up until it's, Dave time.
Right. Okay. Dave time. It's a magical time. We were watching something, the kids and I, and Dave Matthews was performing,
Okay.
and they were very worried for him. Because if you've ever seen Dave play, it's one of those things where it's like, I can see he's very talented at playing guitar, and he makes a lot of very interesting choices with the noises he makes between songs, and the way he dances. Like, there's just so many things where it's just like, my daughter looked at me and was like, is he all right? Like, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, this is Dave. This is
Dave.
just the way Dave is. So, yeah. Anyway, Kathy has been listening to a lot of Dave Matthews Band at work, like in the operating room. They play music,
Oh yeah.
and so she's been listening to a lot of Dave.
Like
And
Crash and stuff.
well, even their latest album,
I was just gonna say, it's probably not the song you wanted to hear in the middle of a operation.
Crash. Don't drink the water.
Drink-
There's blood in the water.
Oh, deep blood. There you go.
But
Blood
like
in the Ziploc bag.
what's that?
I said there's blood in the Ziploc bag.
Yeah. That song did not take off as well.
No.
But their latest album is really good. I really like it. And Away from the World, I think is what it's called. And
That sounds good.
the first song, like when you go to our house and you say to our assisted device here, our smart device, and say, Lady in the Tube, play Dave Matthews Band, it will start with this first song from their newest album, which is called Oh Joy Begins, parentheses, Samurai Cop.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids like these things, like, this is what this song is called. And they're just like, that's not it. And I have to prove to them, like, no, Dave is the weirdest person in the world. And this is what he's doing. Like, this is what he's putting out into the world. Like, the song, Oh Joy Begins. What a great title. It's talking about like his kids being born. Like, it's so good. Samurai Cop.
Well, yeah, because kids want to, it's like, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the title of the song. It's in parentheses. It's all right. When the song title is in parentheses, it's already like that part doesn't matter as much. Like, you just want to mess with people.
It's an appendices to the song.
Right. The title is already too long. You have to put in a parenthesis around it. I can't handle it.
Go talk to Fiona Apple about that one.
Well, I don't know how to get a hold of her.
Okay.
Does she do a lot of that?
Oh, just one of her When the Pawn, her album was like a paragraph long. The title for her album was like over a paragraph long.
Oh, that's too long.
There you go.
That is too long.
Anyway, we have diverged.
So they're going to be best friends now, Eduardo and Andy, and they're going
like it. They're going to jam for like 9 hours.
Yeah, you got all the bass tabs for Dave Matthews Band, and they're going to jam for 9 hours. So, and I love Andy when he gives him the CD. He says, "Let me know how much you like us."
Yeah. It's not what you think. Let me know how much you like us.
Right. Yeah. So Andy is on a path to win April back, and he's doing this by winning over her current boyfriend. So cuts to the back to the town forum, and Marsha Langman protests Twilight because it has, young women quivering and looking into the eyes of the vampire. And she's here for the Society for Family Stability Association or something like that. And so she's protesting. And then a dude from the NCLA, National Coalition of LA, I can't remember all of the things. I just wrote them down real quick. And he says, it's too Christian. It has overt Christian overtones. And so Leslie points out, like, oh, look at this. It's not Christian enough and too Christian. You guys see how interesting that is? They do not think it's interesting. And from there, the forum derails. So Leslie comes up with an idea to have 2 time capsules.
Genius.
So smart. And so let the forum continue. Cut back to the office, and Tom is sitting there reading another tome of Twilight. And Lucy comes to see him, and he asks why they broke up. And he's trying to relate their relationship to all of the different elements of Twilight. And Leslie's like, no, none of that. It's none of that at all. And we come to find out she broke up with him because he was super jealous that Ron is dating Wendy.
Oh yeah.
And so she's like, look, you have a great girlfriend right here, but you only think about that. You're Wendy, who's not a part of your life anymore. So you need to get over it. And I'm going to just give people hope here because Lucy's great. She will return.
Yeah. And that's what I like too. And a lot of these shows, I mean, this is season 3, and this goes on for 7 seasons. And just the fact that they left it that open-ended with this character, a lot of times it's just this person disappears and they never come back for whatever reason, but they chose just to leave it open. She says, if you ever turn into a normal person, hook me up, look me up because, I like you.
Right.
I don't know. I like this just doesn't seem like, do you think they specifically did that to bring her back 3 years later?
I do not know, but I think good writing doesn't close all the doors, right? Because like our life,
well, then you're just left with a whole bunch of open windows.
Exactly. When a writer closes a door, God opens a window.
Mm-hmm.
But like life in general doesn't close all the doors, right? There's always options in front of you. And so like a good writing for like a town like this, you would want to have like a robust cast that can come and go, and to be able to have Lucy come back later. Like that's great. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. So, so then it cuts back to the forum, and a woman is saying she wants to put her grandma's ashes in one of the time capsules, and then another person says, "I'd like to put my cat Turnip's ashes in the the time capsule." And Leslie says, "A reminder: no human or feline ashes." And then this is the guy who chants, who says, "Except for Turnip, except for Turnip." So he was also the guy like ham and mayonnaise sandwich. So chant guy is here, and then another person goes up and he starts talking about the flu and how devastating it is. And she's like, "Do you have a suggestion for the time capsule?" And he's like, "No, I'm just really scared." And this is, as we were watching this, Kathy was, wow, that's like today.
Right.
And then as I was thinking even more, I was like, wow. And Kelly, he stormed City Hall. That's like today. Both are based on fantasy.
It's true. Yeah.
So,
But at least
yeah.
Kelly read something.
He read a lot of something,
Yeah.
like a real series of books. He read it. These stormers of our day, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, um,
Now, I feel like that was one of the Zorp guys, and I didn't have time to look it up, but I just, we'll put it. So when
the
Zorp
flu
comes around,
guy.
yeah, the flu guy,
Oh,
I felt like he was, I recognized him, and he's been in a bunch of other things as a bit guy, so maybe that's just from that, but anyway,
yeah. Interesting. We'll see. We will see. And so cuts back to the office. Eduardo and Andy are going to jam, and April is not happy about it. But
and she says,
Andy's
"Why? Why?"
right. Yeah, and Andy, I love what Andy's going to do. Is he brought a 4-track recorder and all of the bass tabs for Dave Matthews, which, I mean, Stefan Lessard is a great bass player.
Right,
And so like if Eduardo is not a good bass player, like those tabs are worthless.
right.
Like I mean, you gotta really know what you're doing. But also they're going to just record them, the two of them playing Dave Matthews songs together.
Yeah, you're missing, some saxophone and drums.
Yeah. So Dave Matthews' first album is Under the Table and Dreaming. Well, their first like popular album, right? There was one before that.
Remember Two Things was the first one.
Yeah. So like the one that really blew up with Ants Marching is Under the Table and Dreaming.
Yes.
Their drummer, Carter Beauford,
Mm-hmm.
he has a drum book called Under the Table and Drumming.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because your kit would fit underneath there.
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, Carter's not like a tall man, so
That's true. He's a really good drummer, though. Like,
he's amazing,
ridiculously good.
And like just watching videos of him play, like he's not even thinking about it. Like he's just like hanging out, just like having a good time, chewing gum, singing every once in a while.
Yeah,
man,
wearing basketball jerseys,
Dave Matthews.
like whatever. Do it.
I will. I like Dave Matthews. So then it cuts back to the forum, and they are now time capsules are spinning out of control here, and there are many pages of time capsule items for different time capsules, and the highest number that I heard was time capsule number 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got a whole systems of like memorabilia and personal effects and all this different stuff. So they're going out of control. And Ben is impressed by how much the people of Pawnee care.
Right.
Because most towns that he's been to, nobody cares.
And I love, and even him pointing out that these people care makes Ben kind of a good guy, just to notice other people's, how much they actually care, because it matters to him. Like a lot of politicians and probably would just be like, I don't care, just, whatever. Let's get this done with. So I thought that was cool. I also thought it was really funny when they got into an argument and the guy, when somebody stands up and says, "Shut up, Kelly." And he's like, "Make me Bob." And so by this time, everybody knows each other, whether they knew each other or not. But I like to believe that they didn't really know each other until this forum. And then they argued so much, everybody knows each other's name. They're like a jury, it's great.
Yes. Yeah. That is a great little detail. Like they have built some common animosity towards each other. Like they're all adversarial and like, no, I want my thing.
Right.
So yeah.
Why is it just about his dumb book?
Yeah, the one lady wants to put in Sammy Hagar's book.
I want my favorite book in here too.
Oh man. So this is where Leslie comes up with a new idea for the time capsule for the people of Pawnee 50 years ahead, which is a video recording of the public forum that they bury in the giant, sealed container, a DVD of this thing, which they could have just kept in the library, but whatever. And so
did you notice that the time capsule didn't even fit in the hole?
Right. Yeah.
Like if they buried it, like it still would have kind of been sticking up out of the top.
Well, I think this is all part of the ceremonial
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm sure they'll bury it for real,
Right.
and maybe even put like cement over it so Pacitus doesn't come and unbury it. But like yeah, like that was one of the things I noticed. Like they didn't bury that. Like it's just sitting there.
That would have been that would have been a really funny like episode, or just a thing at the end of the series if they had opened up the the time capsule and Pacitus had put like a
peach pit
stolen, and there's just a peach pit in there.
Oh man, there's still time. They could still make that happen because we're like 40 years away from that. So
yeah.
It could happen. So they're burying this DVD, and Leslie is reading about what's happening. Is like, this is a record of how much Pawnee cares, and to the Pawnee of the future, please excuse the blank part in the middle. A city bureaucrat named Jerry Gergich blanked out the tape. He only had one job.
Yeah. Like
that's in the record.
He screwed it up somehow. Like they don't even know how he messed it up.
He had one job. Yeah. So that's fun.
Like a kicker in football. Everyone loves you until you miss.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, so Jerry misses a lot though. But I do like how this episode, like, it starts with Jerry, with a good idea that immediately derails, and then it ends with Jerry derailing a good idea.
Right.
So it's a good Jerry bookend to this episode proper. So and then the credit scene comes, and they are having a park movie night. And we see Andy and April sitting together, and he asks, "Hey, where's Eduardo? I was really starting to like that guy." And April says, "He went back to Venezuela, and I started to hate him because you really started to like him." And so Andy leans over to Chris and says, "Nice and banned. Totally worked."
That was awesome.
And then Anne and Chris are talking, and he's like, "I want to help him. He's a really nice guy." And there's a pretzel cart over that serves literally the best pretzel I've ever had. So he runs over and gets one. And then we see Tom running in, and he's like, listen. I have not seen this, and so please nobody talk or tweet or anything or text. I just want to enjoy the movie. And Kelly and his daughter are over there, and Leslie starts talking with him, and Tom's reaction is like, "Didn't I just say shut up?"
What did I just say? Come on.
And Kelly's like, "I got you into this."
Shut up.
So yeah, really, really a great episode. I think the town dynamic. Anytime we get town dynamic, it's so good. So we get a bunch of weirdos from Pawnee, and it's more fun.
100%. And I thought I remember when I very first saw this one, that when they mentioned Twilight, I was like, "Oh, come on, you're just piggybacking off of the success." But then it turns out, like, the way they used it could have been anything. It could have been Harry Potter or whatever the thing was, because of Kelly's. The reason why is, as weird as it was because of he wanted to fix the relationship with his daughter. So then with the ending and Tom and all that, it was perfect. So I didn't think the Twilight part was cheesy. I hope you don't even have to love Twilight, because it is such a great job of setting it up as a thing that isn't really maybe necessarily, I don't want to say appropriate, but not everybody would be into. And so you get a good sense of like, okay, Tom, this is an unhealthy level of liking something for Kelly and Tom. So, yeah.
I do think, you're right. It could have been any book. And I think one of the key things is that in developing Kelly as a fanatic for this book, we also are reminded that everybody is a nerd about something.
Right.
Everybody has something that they're passionate about. And that's the whole town forum.
Right.
Is all these people are passionate. And like, yes, Twilight is weird for a 40-year-old man to be reading. We get that. But it's also weird that this guy wants to put his cat's ashes in the time capsule.
All right. So
except for turnip.
So what would you put in the time capsule? And then today? Also, like if one were to go like be buried today, and doesn't even, just like, what's the thing that you'd want somebody to find 50 years from now? And then also, listener, I don't know if you are checking, if you're tweeting or doing anything, but what would you put in a time capsule? I'm just curious. What's your thing? What's your turnip? What's your turnip's ashes? you know?
Except for turnip. Let me see here. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to relog into Gmail. uh,
You keep all of your like you have a list of things that you love in your life, like in a document, like a spreadsheet?
No, I don't know. Here's part of the problem is I'm in my office, and so I'm
Uh-huh.
just looking around in my office. That hole punch. You know what? It would probably be if I could get a time capsule big enough. I would probably bury my car.
Okay.
I love my car. Like it is my Honda Element is the only vehicle that I have ever owned where I'm like, I want to keep this forever.
That's awesome.
You know, so like if I could get a time capsule big enough, or even just use my car as the time capsule, I'm fine with that.
Oh, that's
So,
great. That's good.
I'm down. So, yeah, but yeah, what about you?
I don't know. I started that question without really having a response. If I absolutely had to come up with something off the top of my head, it would probably be something just creative, probably. I know it sounds stupid, but more just what it represents, like a set of pens or pencils, just like being able to draw, and hopefully that people are still being artistic in the future. So
You don't think there's going to be art in the future?
I don't know if they're going to have electricity. We don't know. Like that's who knows.
Yeah.
So that's why pencils, at least, you don't have to have an iPad or computer to be artistic, so
True.
yeah, there you go.
All right. Hey, I have some good news,
Uh-huh.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
We have some email.
What?
Yeah. We have real listener email.
Email.
Yeah. Oh man, I missed those days. Somebody was asking me about our previous podcast. Parks and not Parks and Conversation. That's the current one. Super Secret Base. And I had to tell them what happened.
Oh. Did they burn me in effigy?
No, but I just love that we have a podcast that has 99 episodes and then we stopped.
Yeah.
So, listeners, thank you for sending some email, and some of these are long, and I'm going to have to take a minute to read it. But here's one from listener Ainsley, and so Ainsley, thank you for writing to us. And she says, "Fellow PNR mega fan here. I've really enjoyed listening to your podcast. A while back, I actually thought about starting a similar podcast, but I'm glad someone else beat me to it. You're welcome, Ainsley. We're doing the work for you. That being said, if y'all ever want to have a guest host, let me know. All right, cool. And then you guys are opalescent tree sharks. That is the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. It's a very Leslie Knope compliment. Thank you. Thank you, Ainsley. Opalescent tree shark. I'm going to put that on my Twitter profile. And then Brianne Kelly. I'm using last names here. I probably shouldn't, but Brianne, this is a very long email, and I'm going to have to read this. But she's in our neighborhood. Like, she's not far from us. But she does like some would you rathers, and she wanted to run by us for fun. How's this sound? Would you rather work directly for Ron or Leslie? Jeremy, would you rather work for Ron or Leslie?
Gosh, that is really hard because Ron is awesome, but he doesn't really do anything. And I like doing stuff, but Leslie does so much stuff, I would get exhausted. I probably, just so I wouldn't go crazy, like Leslie. How about you?
I would rather work for Ron.
Okay. Why?
Because Ron, I think Ron is more of a, if you just do your job, I'll leave you alone. And I'm fine with that. Like, if I know my job, I'll do it.
That's true, but I also get to go to the break room, or get to go to the conference room and read Twilight. So
yeah. So there's some flexibility with Ron.
All right.
So all right, here's another. Would you rather work for Chris or Leslie?
Leslie. I couldn't handle Chris.
Yeah, I would rather work for Leslie too.
Yeah.
All right.
Although Chris, you got to hang around, like as far as getting like health tips and stuff.
Yeah. Well, Chris is just a nice friend to have, out there in the peripheral, where it's like, hey, Chris, I'd like to get in shape. You're like, I've literally got the best idea on what you can do. So, yeah, which is great. And then also we, another would you rather. Would you rather see Andy's band live at the Snake Hole Lounge or be an honorary guest at one of Leslie's Valentine's Day parties?
Snake Hole Lounge.
Yeah. Really? You would want to go in there? It's one of the most dangerous places in Pawnee.
The Snake Hole Lounge. It's not the glitter factory. I mean,
I guess,
if
yeah.
it was there, I would definitely say Galentine's Day. Although I do like brunch, but
Yeah.
I've always liked to see Mouse Rat live. Like, come on, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down. A pearl. How
I
about
would
you?
go with the Galentine's Day mainly just because there's brunch involved and gifts. I would get a gift. So,
That's true. Oh, good call. Good call.
okay. I've got one more. Would you rather go to Anne's Halloween party or attend Jessica Wick's birthday party for Nick Newport Sr.?
You go first.
I would totally rather go to Anne's Halloween party.
I would probably that's more my speed too. The other, I don't know any of those hoity-toity rich people, and also I'm just scared of like pictures of naked old people. I've avoided them so far. So I don't.
Yeah,
want to be
but
surprised by it.
I love Jessica's song and the specific line, "The midnight of my heart is you." So it's so
Awesome.
good.
That's fun.
All right, we have another email from CJ, who lives in Tampa, Florida. Thank you for finding us all the way down in Tampa, or as they say now, Tampa Bay, for Tom Brady, who's surprisingly good down there. So, yeah, and it cut all the way up on the Office Ladies. So they're working through the Michael Schur universe here a little bit too. Office Ladies, the Michael Scott podcast company I've never heard of, which is another fan podcast, started a couple different Park and Rec podcasts in quick succession to find one with hosts that had good banter and episode summaries and recaps and stupid tangents. And I really enjoy your podcast. We did it. Good banter and stupid tangents.
That was the crazy thing. I remember when we came up with this idea for a pod, we were like, yeah, but how do we fit in the stupid tangents?
Right. We're like, we got to have more tangents. Like today, we probably spent a good 25 minutes talking about Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of talk about blood.
Yeah. We are going to be your top blood podcast and Parks and Rec podcast probably forever.
Yeah.
And I cannot, there it is. I couldn't find the browser window that is recording this, and I got real panicky for a second. So, yeah, like this is great. I appreciate you email listeners. Thank you for telling us who you are and writing into us. I also got this great email from Google, confirm your recovery phone. So, all right.
Thank you, Google.
Thanks, Google. I appreciate every listener. So, and then a bunch of notifications from Twitter about different things that people are tweeting. So, neat. Yeah. All right. Cool, guys. Well, thank you, listener, for writing. And if you are a writer, a person who can write email, then write us at parksandconversation@gmail.com. Send us an email and put in your subject line something good. Like Ainsley's subject line was jazz plus jazz equals jazz.
Oh, it's one of my favorite lines.
So, and I only knew like I could trust Brienne's email because it says, it's me, your listener. So that's not something that somebody would just write if they aren't actually listening to this nonsense. So thank you guys for writing in. And tell your friends, and please send us email, tweet at us.
Your time capsule object.
Yes, please. What would you put in a time capsule object?
We'll tell everybody in 50 years.
All right, this is what we need to do. All right, Jeremy, let's say, all right, I have a Honda Element. I'm going to bury it. What would you put in my Honda Element time capsule? And it's a perfect square inside. So there's plenty of room. The seats come out. You can put a lot of stuff in there. So yeah, hit us up with your time capsule items. That sounds fun. All right.
Perfect.
I'll forward you these emails so that you can also enjoy them.
Thanks.
All right. Cool. You guys have a great one, and we should be done here because we've already been talking nonsense for 58 minutes and 50 seconds. So until next time, I'll see you later.
Bye.